Some stories do not spread because they have been proven true. They spread because they fit too neatly into the shape of our deepest fears. Welcome to the Unexplained News Update. I am your host, Reese Halden. In this episode, we are looking at how strange belief systems and anomalous claims refuse to die. From ancient folklore gaining a second life on social media to a machine that shouldn't work, we are following the threads of things that linger after they should have disappeared. We explore the line where myth meets evidence and where authority creates a world of its own. We begin tonight with a word that is moving through the digital dark like a virus. It is a label for a specific kind of dread, and for many people online, it has become all too real. On platforms like TikTok and various paranormal forums, a specific term is surfacing with increasing frequency: Musallat. Within Islamic folklore, the word refers to a state of being afflicted or oppressed. Specifically, it describes a hostile or obsessive attachment by a Jinn. While this concept has existed for centuries, it is currently undergoing a massive resurgence as a modern internet phenomenon. The fear is spreading through short video clips, frantic comment sections, and shared warnings. These threads often describe a sense of being watched, followed, or physically weighed down. The article from Unexplained.co argues that the internet is not just hosting a ghost story here, it is actively providing people with a new vocabulary for their own anxiety. Interestingly, many of these accounts overlap with the physiological experience of sleep paralysis. People describe waking up unable to move, feeling a malevolent presence in the room. In the past, someone might have called this a nightmare. Today, they are finding a community online that tells them it is Musallat. It turns a medical curiosity into a spiritual battle. The unsettling part is not just the claim of a haunting, but how quickly people recognize the symptoms. It suggests that even in a digital world, we are still very susceptible to ancient fears, if they are framed in a way that feels personal. From this kind of online spiritual dread, we move to a movement whose recorded history still feels like a fever dream to those looking in from the outside. Decades ago, a spiritual leader named Osho, also known as Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, built a following that eventually made headlines across the globe. Today, old footage of his neo-sannyasa movement is circulating again, and for modern viewers, the reaction is almost universal unease. The imagery is charged with a specific kind of intensity that many find difficult to watch. The videos often show large crowds dressed in uniform shades of orange and maroon. They participate in ecstatic group rituals, sometimes involving wild movement or intense, fixed attention on their leader. While followers at the time felt they were experiencing a profound liberation, the modern lens is different. We live in an era of cult documentaries, and our instincts have been trained to see tragedy in such devotion. This is a story about the psychology of the image. The controversy today is less about the theology and more about the visual evidence of control. To an insider, a sea of matching robes represents unity and peace. To a stranger watching on a screen, it triggers an alarm. It raises the question, where exactly does spiritual intensity end and institutional control begin? While these mass rituals show us the power of a group, our next story focuses on the power of a single place. We move from the energy of a crowd to the silence of a haunted hospital and a mark on the ground that no one can quite agree on. Riverview Hospital is a name that carries a lot of weight in the world of the paranormal. This former psychiatric site has a reputation for being one of the most haunted locations in Canada. Recently, a specific photo from the grounds has been making the rounds, refocusing public fascination on the site. The image shows a large star-like symbol marked on the ground just outside the building. The mystery here is not just that the symbol exists, but that no one can agree on what it is. To some, it is clearly a pentagram traditionally associated with occult rituals. To others, the geometry suggests a Star of David. And then there are the skeptics, who see nothing more than an ambiguous mark created by weathering, camera angles, and the way the light hits the pavement. The key to the story is the environment. If this mark were found in a grocery store parking lot, it might be ignored. But because it sits in the shadow of Riverview, the location primes people to see a haunting. It is a case where the reputation of a place dictates how we read the evidence. The picture works because it never fully resolves into one meaning. That uncertainty is exactly what makes it feel dangerous. From symbols that feel haunted by their location, we turn to a machine that feels haunted by its own history. We are shifting from the occult to a different kind of impossible object, a device that claims to defy the laws of physics. In the world of fringe science, few names are as persistent as Tariel Kapanadze. For years, videos have circulated showing what is claimed to be a free energy or over-unity generator. The core claim is simple, and according to mainstream science, impossible. The device allegedly outputs more power than it takes in. It is the holy grail of engineering, promised time and again, but never delivered to the public. The Kapanadze generator survives as an internet legend because the footage is just tantalizing enough to keep hope alive. In the demonstrations, the apparatus often looks rough and improvised, which somehow makes it feel more authentic to those who believe in it. It hasn't received scientific validation, but it has received something much stronger in the digital age, a dedicated following on forums and YouTube. There is also a strong narrative of suppression that follows this machine. Fans of the device often suggest that such technology is being hidden or stopped by powerful interests who want to maintain energy scarcity. This transforms a question of engineering into a conspiracy theory. It becomes a story about forbidden knowledge. Ultimately, what keeps the Kapanadze story alive is not proof of concept, but the idea that somewhere in the static there might be a secret the rest of us were never meant to see. But as we transition to our final story, we leave these technical mysteries behind for a much darker, very human reality. We're moving from machines to a man who claimed a power of a different sort. The history of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or FLDS, is one of deep fractures and absolute authority. Even after the collapse of its most famous leaders, the system seems to produce new figures who step into the vacuum. One of the most disturbing recent examples is Samuel Bateman. He is a splinter prophet who has become the center of a grave criminal investigation. Bateman's rise to power has gained new attention through the Netflix documentary, Trust Me, the False Prophet. The case involves allegations of coercion, abuse, and the weaponization of religious language to control a small, isolated group. Unlike the speculative stories of Jinn or free energy, this case is grounded in documented human damage and the survival of high-control systems. Bateman represents a surviving mechanism of authority. He claimed the role of a prophet within a damaged religious ecosystem, showing how easily obedience can be transferred from one leader to another, even after a movement has been publicly disgraced. It is a reminder that the structures of power often outlive the people who originally built them. This case is particularly heavy because it shows the consequences of belief when it is used as a tool for harm. There is no ambiguity here, only the documented reality of how prophetic claims can be used to hide criminal actions. It is a sobering end to our look at things that refuse to stay in the past. Whether it is an ancient word for a spirit or a modern man claiming to speak for God, these stories show us one thing: humanity is haunted by its own desire for secret knowledge and absolute answers. We want to believe there is something more, but as we have seen tonight, the search for that something can lead us into very dark corners. Thank you for joining me for this edition of the Unexplained News Update. If you find these deep dives into the fringe of our world as fascinating as I do, please take a moment to follow or subscribe on your preferred platform. Ratings and reviews help others find their way to us, and I appreciate every bit of your support. Until next time, keep your eyes open, but keep your feet on the ground. I am Reese Halden, and this has been the Unexplained News Update. Good night.